What if I told you the world's first electric car revolution happened over a century ago? Then why did it disappear for nearly 100 years? The answer will completely change how you see automotive history. In 1900, nearly 1 out of every 3 cars in America ran on electricity, not gasoline. For a brief moment, electric cars weren't the future, they were the present. They were quiet, clean, and incredibly easy to drive. Unlike gasoline cars, there was no hand crank, no smoke, and no exhausting struggle just to get moving. Women especially preferred electric cars because they were simple and reliable. For a short time, it seemed electricity, not gasoline, would define the future of transportation. But history took an unexpected turn. Within just a few decades, electric cars almost completely vanished from the roads. So, what changed everything? Across America and Europe, inventors raced to build the first successful horseless carriage. 3 technologies competed for the future: steam, gasoline, and electricity. At first, electricity was winning. In 1899, Belgian inventor Camille Genetzi drove an electric car called La Jamais Contente past 60 miles per hour, setting a world speed record that shocked the automotive world. Soon, electric taxis were carrying passengers through the streets of New York City. Even Thomas Edison believed electricity, not gasoline, would power the automobiles of the future. It seemed the race was already over. Electric cars had speed, comfort, and support from some of the greatest inventors of the time. But history had other plans. Then, almost all at once, 3 breakthroughs changed everything forever. They didn't just transform the automobile, they pushed electric cars to the edge of extinction. First came Henry Ford's assembly line. It allowed gasoline cars to be built faster and sold for prices ordinary Americans could finally afford. Then huge oil discoveries in Texas made gasoline cheap and easy to find. Fuel stations spread quickly, making long-distance travel more practical than ever before. If you're new here, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Story continues. The final blow came in 1912 with the invention of the electric starter motor. Suddenly, gasoline cars no longer needed dangerous hand cranks to start. Electric cars lost the one advantage that had made them special. As gasoline cars became cheaper, easier to drive, and more practical, the balance quickly shifted. By the 1920s, electric cars hadn't been banned or defeated in one dramatic moment. They simply faded away, quietly disappearing from roads around the world. For the next several decades, the electric car became a forgotten chapter in automotive history. Gasoline engines dominated roads, factories, and the imagination of an entire generation. By the 1950s and 1960s, most people didn't even know electric cars had once been common. To many, they sounded like an idea that had never really existed. Then came the 1973 oil crisis. Long lines formed at gas stations, and for the first time in decades, people began asking if there was another way. That question inspired a new generation of engineers. Small electric cars like the city car appeared, proving the idea was alive, but the technology still wasn't ready. At the same time, electric power quietly succeeded somewhere no gasoline car ever could: on the moon, where NASA's lunar rover explored the lunar surface. During the 1980s, researchers returned to battery technology with a new goal. They believed better batteries could finally give electric cars a second chance. That research led to the GM EV1, one of the world's first modern electric cars. It was quiet, efficient, and surprisingly advanced for its time. The people who drove the EV1 loved it. Many said they never wanted to return to gasoline cars because the driving experience felt completely different. Then, in a decision that stunned many owners, GM ended the EV1 program. Most of the leased cars were taken back, leaving drivers asking one question: why? Many EV1s were eventually destroyed, while only a small number survived in museums. To many people, it felt like the electric car had been buried once again. For a moment, it looked like history was repeating itself. Electric cars had returned, and then seemed to disappear all over again. But while many people believed the story was over, a small group of engineers and entrepreneurs saw a completely different future. In the mid-2000s, a small California startup called Tesla believed electric cars could be fast, exciting, and desirable, not just practical. The first Tesla Roadster proved them right. It accelerated like a sports car while running entirely on electricity, forcing the entire auto industry to pay attention. Suddenly, electric cars were no longer seen as slow or boring. They had become exciting again, and this time, the world was ready to listen. The launch of the Tesla Model S changed even more minds. It offered luxury, long range, and performance that rivaled the best gasoline sedans in the world. Charging stations began appearing across highways and cities. For the first time in decades, owning an electric car became practical for everyday drivers. Soon, other automakers realized this wasn't just a trend, it was a turning point. Companies around the world began investing billions to build their own electric vehicles. Fast charging technology improved rapidly, battery costs continued to fall, and every new breakthrough made electric cars more practical, more affordable, and more appealing to everyday drivers. Gigantic battery factories began producing millions of cells every day. What once seemed impossible was becoming an industry capable of powering the future of transportation. Modern factories combined advanced robotics with skilled engineers, building battery packs more efficiently than ever before. The technology that once struggled to survive was now advancing at incredible speed. 9. Now researchers are developing solid-state batteries, promising longer range, faster charging, and even greater safety. The next chapter of the electric car is already taking shape. Today, electric and gasoline cars share the same roads. But unlike a century ago, this time the competition is happening on a truly global scale. Electric cars are no longer rare. Families, businesses, and entire cities now depend on them every day, proving how dramatically the world has changed. In many countries, electric buses, taxis, and delivery vans have become part of everyday life. What once seemed impossible is now happening right before our eyes. Charging an electric car is becoming faster and more convenient every year. As infrastructure expands, range anxiety continues to fade for millions of drivers. Scientists aren't slowing down. Around the world, laboratories are developing batteries that charge faster, last longer, and could redefine electric transportation once again. Tomorrow's electric cars may travel farther, recharge in minutes, and become even more affordable. The next revolution isn't decades away, it's already beginning. Around the world, millions of people now choose electric vehicles not because they have to, but because the technology has finally earned their trust. The most surprising part of this story isn't that electric cars came back. It's that the idea survived more than a century, waiting for the world to catch up. From La Jamais Contente to today's electric performance cars, one idea has never changed: electricity has always had the power to move the world forward. More than 100 years separate these machines, yet they share the same dream: to prove that speed, innovation, and electricity can exist together. The road has been long, filled with setbacks, breakthroughs, and second chances. But every mile has led to the same destination: the return of the electric car. Today, electric vehicles are no longer a prediction about tomorrow. They're part of everyday life, quietly changing how millions of people travel across the world. Every new electric car carries a legacy that began more than a century ago. The technology evolved, but the original vision never truly disappeared. As cities grow cleaner and technology advances, transportation is entering a new era where electricity is becoming the foundation of modern mobility. Families now travel in silence and comfort, once again experiencing what early electric car drivers discovered over 100 years ago. What was once forgotten is now becoming normal again. The electric car didn't just return, it redefined what modern transportation can be. Even the oldest electric ideas are now influencing the newest designs. Engineers are building on a history that began long before the gasoline era took over. Standing in modern showrooms today, it's hard to imagine that electric cars were once the forgotten future. Now they sit at the center of a global transformation. From quiet city streets to open highways, electric vehicles are no longer a niche idea, they are reshaping the entire definition of mobility in real time. The journey that began with early pioneers over a century ago has come full circle, proving that innovation often returns stronger after being forgotten. Looking back, the story was never about gasoline versus electricity. It was about timing, technology, and a world that wasn't ready until now. As the sun sets on the old era of transportation, a new one rises, powered quietly, efficiently, and entirely by electricity. So the real question isn't why electric cars disappeared, it's why it took the world so long to bring them back. And as we move forward, one truth becomes clear: the future was never lost, it was only waiting. If you enjoy this documentary, don't forget, as I said, thank you.